Most of us in car audio pretty much start out the same way. We usually pick a favorite company of ours, purchase one of their prefab enclosures, and we're pretty much happy with that. That is, until we see one of our favorite YouTubers with a custom enclosure, and then we want to know, hey, what's that all about? But then we look at the price of the custom enclosure, and then we ask ourselves, is it really worth buying a custom enclosure? Well, in this video, that's exactly what we're going to put to the test, because in a previous video, we did test this dual enclosure by B2 Audio, but a lot of you guys asked me, hey, you build custom enclosures, put that thing in a custom enclosure. So in this video, that's exactly what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to remove the Rave 12s from this prefab enclosure, and I'm going to place them inside of a custom enclosure. The custom enclosure is bigger, has a bigger port, and we want to see if this is going to improve the performance of the subwoofers at all. I honestly don't know what to expect from this test, so leave a comment in the section below. Do you think it's going to improve the quality of the subwoofer, or is this something that no one should be trying at all? Leave a comment in the section below, sit back, grab yourself a drink or a snack, because this is going to be an interesting one. All right, so before we get started, let's do a quick recap on the previous testing of these subwoofers in their default enclosure. This is a dual 12-inch subwoofer enclosure, a loaded enclosure, and it is called, of course, the DVPE2 This is a B2 Audio product. This product was sent to us over by Big Jeff at bigjeffaudio.com. This is supposed to be one of B2 Audio's more budget-friendly options for those who want to get into dual enclosures. So Big Jeff thought I would be a good candidate to actually present this to you. So today, we're going to put it inside the car and demo. So let's get to that. All right, so now it's time for the SPL demo. I want to see how loud this little cheap subwoofer enclosure gets in the trunk of an Impala. The trunk of the Impala is 19 cubic foot. I should say 19 cubic feet, and right now it's about 1 foot from the trunk lid. So this should make an interesting base demo, given the fact that it's loading off the lid. This gives us its best chances at whatever SPL level it can get in the trunk. I'm going to be powering this enclosure with the B2 Audio 7800. This is from their Rage lineup. My doors are actually being powered by another Rage item, which is the Rage 1200.4. No, I am not going to be sending 8,000 watts through these 500 watt subwoofers. That just wouldn't make any sense, but we do want to get them moving. Their peak value is 1,000 watts, and we're going to exceed that just about a hair. We don't want to send too much power to them. All right, so right now we're going to be doing a base sweep, and we're going to be monitoring our power with the SMD AMM1. That's an audio multimeter, and that's going to give us our peak value during this base sweep. The purpose of the base sweep is in order for you to find what your peak value is in your cabin, or what is known as cabin peak. And we're going to be recording our decibel scores with the mini bass meter by SPL Lab. This one right here is going to give you your peak value in decibels. This lets you know how loud you are inside of your cabin. I'm going to reset this. Right now it's in hold mode. It's going to hold whatever our peak value is. And we're just going to sweep from 150 to 20 hertz. Here we go. All right, so according to the AMM1, we got up into around 27 watts at 2.9 ohms of impedance. That's 3 times the rise of the impedance that we're wired to. We're wired to 1 ohm. We got a 123.9 That's not the value that we want. We want to know what frequency. The frequency we got that at is 36 hertz, which is good. The boxes has a tuning of 35 hertz. So to see 36 hertz as a peak is pretty good stuff. So we're gonna go and test at 36 hertz. We're gonna reset the Android application to 36 hertz, and we're gonna give it about 1,000 to 1,500 watts and see what our peak value is then. All right, so we got everything reset. Right now, the Android application is on 36 hertz. We're gonna hit play and we're gonna increase until we see about 1,000 watts on the AMM1. 36 hertz. Woo, that sounds good. All right, so that's 1,565 watts at 3.6 ohms of impedance. That's pretty cool. It didn't rise as much as I thought it was. So let's give this a stop. And we're gonna look and see what we got here. We got a 136.6 on the glass. I already know what some of y'all are thinking. What if they was in a custom enclosure with a little bit more volume? What would they sound like with a little bit more port area? Luckily for you guys, I have just the enclosure for these two cheap subs. So it's 4.75 cubic foot before displacement. So you'll still have around 4.5 cubes to work with once you install these subwoofers. What would these guys sound like in an enclosure like that? Stay tuned for the next video because that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Oh man, I almost forgot to film. I had to go run and get the camera right quick. So this is the phase in which we're at right now. We're disassembling the speakers out of its original case, which is the B2 Audio's dual enclosure for the Rave 12s. Of course, these are the Rave 12s. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna be putting them in this enclosure over here. This is the one we're gonna put it in, this big boy. If I can get it turned around. Okay, so this one right here. So that's the one that's going in. Way more port area, 64 square inches of port area, 4.75 gross cubes, and yeah, tuned to 30 hertz. Whereas this one over here, it looks to be around, I want to say 3.5, maybe 4 cubes. Gross, I don't know what that would be. Nah, that ain't no 4 cubes. I don't know, maybe 1.5 per, so that's about 3 cubes gross. And it's tuned to 35 hertz. So we already calculated the port area over here. It's around 2 inches by, I think that was 12, wasn't it? So it's 24, so you pretty much almost tripling the port area over here on the other side. So we're gonna see if we can get a little bit louder with a bigger box that's custom. And this is basically what a lot of people do when they get custom boxes. I ain't gonna say a lot of people, but you got quite a few people. They get the box and they make it bigger. They make everything bigger. They want more volume. They want, as far as like internal spacing, they want more volume and they want more port area. So that's what we're gonna do and see if this is gonna be worth you guys upgrading some cheap subs to make them sound better. Anyway, we're gonna do that right now. What we got going, I got the screws out of here because these do come machine screws and T-nut inserts. I'm just gonna clip that wire because everything's soldered. See that? And yes, I have a soldering iron. I got a pretty fancy one, but I don't feel like going through all that. This is a simple test and I don't think we need to do all that. So I'm gonna clip that, and once I reinstall this, I'm just gonna do the soldering then. So what would you rather do? Would you rather unsolder 1, 2, 3, 4 leads, or just cut that and then resolder 2 leads? You know, that's kind of where I'm going with this. So that's what we're gonna be doing. Go ahead, get those wires cut, leave it in parallel, put it inside that enclosure, and we're gonna test at, these are dual 4s, 2 ohms a piece, ran in parallel, it'll be 1 ohm. So we have a 1 ohm impedance load at the amplifier. Yep, that's what we're finna do. So the goal of this was basically just to cut off enough wire, but leave enough wire on the subwoofer and on that terminal cup in order to, you know, have a little bit to work with. So as long as it can come out of the enclosure right there, that's a level of comfort that I'm happy with. Same thing over here. See that? So that means that I can lay it on its back and sit the subwoofer somewhere on the baffle and actually be able to work with it. So that's what you want. Same thing with the subs. You want enough wire hanging off of it to be able to do something with it. And it looks to be around 12 gauge wire. Let's move on. All right, so there we are. That kind of puts it into perspective, doesn't it? This is their original home, and this is gonna be their new home. Big difference. This is a center port firing, and this one here is side port. They're both L-shaped ports, so he got 2 L ports, and he got one big one, and he got 2. So that's kind of what you're working with right now. And that's how they got the tuning down on this one here. If you think about it, this is a 2-inch port. So 2 inches in width, that is. So I'm guessing maybe those L ports on the inside, they gotta be very narrow. It has to be very, very narrow. So I'm thinking it's an inch over here and an inch over there on width. And so they had to combine coming out with 2 inches. Is that how they did it? Yeah, that seemed like what they did. So, and I may be wrong about that. I'm not the engineer on this project, but anyway, so yeah, I think that's what they did. So those little L's up in there have to be a little bit more narrow in order to get that tuning that low inside of a cabin that small. So yeah, they sound good up in there, but man, let's put this into perspective. Let's look at this. This box stopped right at where this port, almost where the port began. And you gotta look at the fact that it has a flange on it. Can't really see that. Let me get some light over there. There you go, you can see it now. You see that flange on there? Kind of like what them scar boxes doing. I think a lot of people are doing this these days though. So you have CT Sounds is doing it as well, and others. So this is the thing, and it looks good cosmetically. I like it. I really do. I think that actually supports or protect any sub that may protrude forward as well, especially sitting behind a seat or something. But long story short, this thing right here, if I just line it up edge for edge, you know, like not counting the flange, if I can get that on camera there, not counting this flange right here, but if I try to line it up edge for edge, then go to the rear, you can really see it. Dang, I didn't think it was that much bigger. Oh, I got it upside down. I got it upside down. Let me flip this. All right, now we cooking. Now we cooking with gas. So this is, you don't want to be doing no misrepresentation, right? So that's what it looks like. Now you can see that wedge shape of it. And of course, what it is that this box, the entire external measurements of that box is the internal dimensions of the inside of that box. That's pretty much what you're working with. That whole box can fit inside of this box. And then that box, the newer one, has the port. See where it lines up? Right along the port. I got all my external markings still on there. So man, that kind of puts things into perspective right there. They're gonna have way more breathing room in there. And we're gonna see if we can, we're not trying to bust them, okay? We're not trying to bust them. This is what you're working with. All right, this box, if you guys wanna know what it was really built for, let me show y'all something. It was built for these guys. For these guys. That's what that box was built for. Something like that. Something like this. Not this. I mean, you can put them in there, right? But not that. Not this. It wasn't really built for this. So for everybody who's just coming in seeing this video because, I don't know, somebody shared it with you, maybe you like the thumbnail or something, you know, that's what we're doing. We're just playing around right now. We know this box too big for that sub. We just want to know what it's gonna do. All right, now that we got that out the way, let's get these boards installed. All right, so before we get started, there is one issue that I have to address about this box. This particular box right here is my test box for dual enclosure. I've had it here on the channel for a few years now. You guys have seen this box many, many times. The one problem with it is it doesn't have a dedicated speaker terminal. much similar to this hardware that you see in my hand right now. So basically what you would do, you would take a bolt like this right here. You would drill a hole in your wood, as you see down here. And inside of one of those holes, this nut will go from the internals of the speaker box. So you would take your wire, secure it to the nut. This, of course, will be inside of the box. And once you see this protrude from the other side, like so, you would then add more washers. And over the years, this has become a very cost-effective, eco-friendly solution. You basically have the wood separating these two connections, one externally, one internally, and this is how most of us would secure our speakers. So this was great, this was good, but the problem, arose whenever you had to change out the speaker wire. You would have to, of course, disconnect all of this stuff. If you wanted to wire it in parallel or series, there was always an issue because now you have to remove the sub in a whole lot of cases, and you have to fiddle with wires all over again. Some people got around this by simply adding more bolts representing, individual voice coils, and then they would make more holes inside of the enclosure. And that's kind of what you see what I have done here. I've done the same exact thing. Dual voice coil subwoofers have 1, 2, 3, 4 connections, 2 terminals per subwoofer, and that's why you see 4 holes drilled here. I then had to relocate the actual speaker terminals again, and it just become a big mess over time. So in order to ease the installation process, what I've come up with is this is a 4-channel speaker box terminal. It is made of the native material in which the enclosure is made out of. In this case, it is made of MDF. We also have these in pine, red oak, and poplar wood as well. Now, as you guys can see, I am going to be personally using this as a dual sub setup. So you have subwoofer 1, this is representing its first voice coil and its second voice coil, and you have subwoofer 2, and this is going to be representing those 2 voice coils on that subwoofer. And the rear is also labeled and marked, and it does have hardware that comes with it if you go to the site and purchase these. We also have these in a dedicated 2-way system setup, and I'm going to show you that as well. This is actually the 2-channel one that we sell over on the channel, and this is the one that I'm going to be installing for this video. And the reason for that is because the subwoofers that I'm going to be installing in here is already pre-wired into parallel configuration. This is the B2 Audio Rave 12, and the Rave 12 that gets installed inside of the preloaded boxes does not come with push terminals. They actually leave the spade terminals here, and these spade terminals are soldered. This is a dual 4-ohm configuration subwoofer, and they've already pre-wired it down to 2 ohms for you. This is parallel configuration, where you have the positives both being wired together and these negatives both being soldered together. And that leaves you with a single wire to work with. So installing the 4-channel one on here won't work because you only got 2 leads to work with, which is why we're only going to be installing this one right here. This is the 2-channel one, and this is very much appropriate for this install. But also note that we do have single speaker terminals as well. We have these in the round and in the square shapes, and if you want this instead, you can actually go and get this. All you need is a 3-inch cutout and get yourself up and running. They all come with stainless steel hardware, and you can get this in different types of material as previously stated. This is the MDF variant of one, and I had some pine ones within reach, so I guess I'll show you those as well. This would be the pine variant of it. And yes, this is solid pine. This is not a plywood. This is something for all the guys who like to use those pine plywood. Now you have a native material that you can actually install on your box. And in most cases, you won't even need a gasket because this material mates with itself quite well, actually. All right, so only thing left now is get them wired up. Got 2 leads, 2 subwoofers. Let's get it. All right, so I got them installed. For everybody who skipped straight to this part, these are the Rave 12 by B2 Audio. They are the more budget-friendly subwoofers that B2 Audio offers. And what I've done is I've taken them out of their default enclosure just to see what they'll do in something that is custom built. Now this is straight experimental purposes only, educational purposes only. I'm not telling you to do this with your subs. B2 Audio is not telling you to do this with your subs. This is a case where you learn from me, okay? If I make a mistake and blow these up, that's on me. All right, so we're gonna be leaving the subs facing backwards, firing off the trunk lid for the duration of the test. We're not gonna have them facing forward because this is the best outcome that you can get for this type of setup. You face it to the rear, you get a higher SPL level, and that's what we're trying to do now. We're trying to see how loud these guys can be. All right, so for reference, they are a little bit over a foot from the tailgate, and that's where we're gonna leave them at. Port is over here, and that's 64 square inches of port area for these subs. So we wanna see what they can do at RMS rating, okay? Let's get it. All right, so as you guys can see, we're here in the Impala, and now what we're gonna be doing is going over some of the tools we're gonna be using in order to conduct the test. This is an Android application right here. This Android application is a frequency generator. It's gonna do a bass sweep for us initially. So let's go over some of the gear we're gonna use to test with. Back here you have the AMM1 audio multimeter. This is what we're going to be using to test our power levels. We want to know how much power that we're sending through the subwoofers at all times, and it has a real-time mode, and it's going to allow us to pretty much keep an eye on overdriving the subwoofers. These are not very powerful subwoofers, and we do have them connected to a very powerful amplifier. So right now this is real-time mode. Nothing is going through the sub, so it's not gonna display anything until we start. Okay? To test our SPL scores, we're gonna be using the mini bass meter by SPL Labs. This bass meter is gonna tell you how loud you are. Loudness is actually measured in a metric called decibels, and that's what you're gonna be seeing displayed on the screen here, is the decibel levels. In order to get ourselves going, we need to do a bass sweep. The bass sweep is going to be conducted using this Android application. It's going to sweep from 150 hertz down to 20 hertz because we want to know what our cabin peak is. The cabin peak is going to let you know at what frequency to test at. All right, let's get it. 150 to 20 hertz. Give it some volume. Hertz, and that's 20 hertz. Right now we got a 128.2 on the meter. That's not the metric that we want. We know that's how loud we got during that bass sweep, but we want to know at what frequency that was. 36 hertz. So the application is calling for 36 hertz, and that's what we're going to be testing at. All right, we got the application reset at 36 hertz, and we're going to get going. Let's go. Ooh, that sounds good. Let's get it. That's 2,363 watts at 3.9 ohms of impedance. Woo! Them little things sound good back there, boy. 138.7. That's a 138.7 from them cheap little bitty subs. All right, let's go to 32 hertz. I liked it at 33 hertz. So let's go all the way down to 32 hertz. That's around box port tuning. We'll get more control like that and see if we can get a better score. This is gonna be back to back for these little guys. So let's do it. 32 hertz. Ooh, that's clipping. That's clipping. See the red light? Red light came on. That's clipping. There's 2,372 watts at 3.8 ohms of impedance. Giving them little guys the beans. That's a 137.8. 137.8. I'm happy with that. I don't want to mess with them too much. Them little guys sound good though. They sound real good. So that's what we got out of them, guys. We got like a 138. I forgot what the other score was. I think the other score was like a 138 point something. They like the 30 hertz range and they sound good doing it. And before I go, if you want a 12-inch enclosure that's built like a tank with CNC precision, hit your boy up. You get these right here starting at $400 plus shipping. $400 plus shipping, built like a tank. Look inside, look at all that. Look at all that bracing in there. Don't skimp out on your bracing. Your boxes, I tell people, your boxes should be built on the inside like a house. If you ever seen a house before the sides go up on them, you see nothing but skeletal framing. That's what it should be like on the inside of your box. Same thing for the ports. The ports should have bracing as well. So this one right here has two 2-inch dowels on this part of that L port. And as you can see in the back, those 2 screws right there, you got 2 more completing that L port. So brace your box, man. That's what you want. $400 to get you a dual enclosure like this all day. See this? Double baffle. And this one right here, this is a dinosaur. I had this thing so long, man. I done had so many subwoofers inside of this thing. Just keep on ticking though. Single boxes starting at $300. You pay for the shipping. We can add whatever you want from there. Carpet, rhino liner, whatever, bed liner, whatever you want on it. Dual enclosures are starting at $4. That's it for the 12s. Very simple. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Information in the description and pinned in the first comment. I'll see you there. Thanks for visiting the channel to help you simplify car audio. It's the Budget Basshead, and I'm out.